My name is James Harthoorn, and this is my wife, Bukky. We've been married for 6.5 years. We met at a small liberal arts college in Northwest Iowa, Northwestern College, and in an all-Dutch community in Iowa. So she stood out a little there, but we met, actually, I saw her on campus, but we actually met at a little church there.
When God has made someone for you, He triggers it in your heart. I don't know, because He's the only one I've dated, really. So it was my first and only boyfriend. And since I was 10, I'd been praying to God that He shouldn't let my husband pass me by. So here I am, in Iowa. I'm like maybe one of 5 black people in the whole little city I was in. And I saw him in church, and I'm like, oh, he looks pretty cool. And then we became friends, and we just went from there. But it's very interesting because we don't really have much in common besides our values, besides our faith in Christ. That's close to it. So it's interesting, yeah.
We have lots and lots of differences. She grew up in Lagos, Nigeria, where she mostly spent time inside. They had house help. I spent all my time outside. I love animals and anything to do with, I don't know, I'm just a boy, I guess. And she is more of a city girl.
What else do we have that's different? Oh, yeah, I was saying I'm an engineer, I guess problem solving, Tell me a problem, we'll find a solution. I can tell you how you're going to live your life for the next 20 years. I'm working on holding back on that, though, thanks to him. But he's, a pastor, a counselor. Paul, I'm a good listener, but he'll listen. He's not necessarily trying to solve my problem right away. So we're different in that sense as well, but we complement each other very well.
With my family, well, my brother kind of broke the mold, first of all. He married a girl that, I think she has some German in her and all kinds of different things. Still white, but my dad's orientation was that Dutch boys should marry Dutch girls. After my brother married successfully outside of the Dutchness, it wasn't that big a step. He did tell me once that either I should probably try to find a Dutch girl or a South Korean. I don't understand why, but that was his perspective. He did have some concerns about our kids, if we would stay together and get married and have kids, how they would be received, and encouraged me to do some homework, actually, on what interracial couples experience. And I was able to do that and go outside of my community, because there wasn't any interracial couples at the time in my community, and talked with a guy that gave me some advice on what to expect. And I think, just to really go into it with our eyes wide open. So I think that was good advice. It took him a little getting used to, but really not a problem. It was, and they like Bukky better than me right now, so there's no problem.
My family, on the other hand, was a whole new, different ball game. I don't know if it was race, really. The only thing I can pin it down to is how would you define
race and culture. That I mean, they wouldn't have been in favor of Bukky finding an African American,
right? No.
Either. But since her sister married a Caucasian American, they were even more set on her marrying a Nigerian.
So I tried to make peace and called my cousin, who pretty close to my mom a little bit, to say, hey, why don't you call her and see if you can talk to her? And he called me back and said, Bukky, your mom is working on finding ways to get you deported here. So this is not a joke, like they were, they were going to do whatever it took. I think in some ways maybe they thought I had been deceived or something of that sort, and they were trying to save my life, really, perhaps in their perspective. But here we are today.
Yeah, for her parents, for her mom especially, there's no problem with accepting our kids.
she sends stuff to them every year.
The problem is that I come with the package, and she doesn't really want me to. She doesn't want to be around me. So it's been more us limiting their involvement with the kids than the other way around. I think there's so much anxiety about race, and there's racism, I know, but just the anxiety about race too. I think down here people take race so seriously. I don't think the opposite of racism is, being colorblind, as they say, but it's to really appreciate the differences. I guess to enjoy people rather than get nervous about, am I acting like a racist around these people or whatever. Or, when we first moved here, we had people like explain to us that they could be our friends because they had an uncle, who would always come to the family reunions, and those kids would sit on everybody's laps, and at first I think there was just a nervousness about it. I don't think there needs to be that nervousness. You can talk to people, hear their stories, hear their perspectives. From Iowa, if someone's black, we can call them black. And I found that, that's it can be a conversation piece. Here it seems like that is racism. People believe that's racism, that it's just a conversation piece, that maybe someone's experience is different. And I think that's a beautiful thing. And it's something that's worth a conversation about, rather than I can't say anything because I'll be a racist.